This is reposted.
Okay, Andrew, today we have a quote from one of my favorite SNL people of all time, Gilda Radner. I know you're a big improv guy, so you're going to appreciate this. I wanted a perfect ending. Now I've learned the hard way that some poems don't rhyme, some stories don't have a clear beginning, middle, or end. Life is not about knowing, having to change, taking the moment and making it the best of it without knowing what's going to happen next. Delicious ambiguity. I think this quote is great because of the sort of state of where we are as a country with the presidential election and all of the legal wranglings that'll go on. Also, because you're trying to plan a wedding in the midst of a pandemic. And also, you've almost waited for a half a year to buy a home that's still in flux. So I feel like there's nobody to talk about uncertainty better than you.
It's funny. I've before we recorded, I had things I thought I was going to talk about. Then you said improv. I was going to go a different way, but it's like I I don't make sense because I hate ambiguity, but at the same time, like I can also lean into it to some extent. I was just trying. I was supposed to find out today if I was going to be able to buy this house or not. And like the presidential election, I thought there was going to be an A or B, and lo and behold, a C alternative comes up, and that's what you have to go with. And I don't know. I guess my advice or my thoughts are lean into it because most of the time the things you don't plan on end up being better. But also, I don't take that advice sometimes, so it's hard for me to dish that out with a straight face.
Get out your bingo boards. Serengeti's coming up because we're
Oh, I
sitting.
saw that coming.
The original man sitting on the Serengeti, and I think our brains are wired to want to try and get rid of ambiguity, uncertainty, right? Because we don't want the lion to come over the rock and eat us. We're trying. Our brain is trying to help us form, neat, nice things so that we can move ahead with human evolution, and that's not necessarily the case. So, our brain, we're not wired to deal with it well.
So, when you consider yourself an electrician, you fancy yourself a very unpredictable person. So, did you rewire your brain to be unpredictable, or do you even
Um,
do? I don't know. Do you fancy yourself an unpredictable person?
I definitely have a better tolerance than for it than my wife does. I definitely can handle it at some points and cannot handle it in others. I feel like I'm not trying to toot my horn here, but I've definitely felt I've done a pretty good job during the pandemic. I feel like most people are like, we're going to get a vaccine, we're going to get a vaccine, we're going to go back to normal life. And who knows when that is going to truly happen? Donald Trump's is going to happen this month, but he doesn't know. So I've really tried to lean into this time of, hey, it is what it is. We can't see everybody. We can't go to birthday parties. We can't play sports. Let's enjoy this time for what it is.
Yeah, it. I feel like I have that to some extent too. It's resetting what your expectations are, though. So like you just shift within. Back to the quote though. Like I think if you look at the most memorable things that you've done in life, none of it went to plan. So like, oh, I decided to take a quick road trip out of town, and hilarity ensued. Or if you think about the most memorable movies, they have this crazy surprise ending. So the ambiguity, like comedy works because you get surprised. You laugh at something because something is set up and then there's a turn and you laugh. And so trying to have everything structured takes the fun or the comedy out of life.
And just along those lines, my favorite part of this whole thing is that poems don't always rhyme. Like we want things to be a certain way. We think poetry should rhyme, but some of
Right.
the most beautiful poetry does not rhyme, and it's clearly describing things that our brain needs to kind of associate with creativity and earth.
What's your favorite poem?
Goodness gracious, man. Where the Sidewalk Ends, anything by Shel Silverstein?
Oh my goodness. So yeah, she was one of the original 7 cast members of SNL. I don't think anyone would have thought that they'd be going on this long. And so like goes to show that's not really a point. Goes to show you that you never know what's going to happen. Like to entertainment, studios think they know that something's going to be great, so they pump money into it. Waterworld is going to be the next biggest thing. You never know, and life is about going on the journey, I think.
Just to tie it up a little bit, you're an improv guy. Gilda Radner certainly was an improv guy. SNL is an improv show. I mean, improv is almost all about uncertainty, right?
I want to jump in real quick. Gilda Radner was not an improv guy.
Gal, lady,
For
improv.
anyone that's listening closely, I wanted to point
Thank
that
you.
out.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I mean, but that's the whole point. Like, don't you go on stage to almost make things uncomfortable when you're doing improv?
That's interesting. I don't go in with the mindset that I want to make people uncomfortable, but I think some of the most magical things that have happened on stage have been because things go. I guess again, it goes back to the surprise. Like it's uncomfortable, and then that tension creates like unknown, and then you get surprised by what's happened next. And that could be, I mean, that's one of the reasons I think people like scary movies. They know they're going to be scared, but they like put themselves in and they like the spontaneity of it all, I think.
Spontaneity. I hate giving advice, but I would just say in my life, when everything's kind of going down a rabbit hole I didn't think it was, if I just take a deep breath and try to retrain my brain, which is trying to make sense of everything, if I just take a deep breath, it will allow me to enjoy the experience better than I would have.
I have a question before we get out of here that I can't answer because I'm not a parent, but as a parent, I feel like people's general marching orders is I don't want my kids to ever experience pain. Like, but if your kid always has the perfect, like, I think as parents, you push people to have the perfect situation. Like, how do you reconcile that? I think you grow from going through pain. Do you ever put your kids through stuff that you're not sure how it's going to work out?
Of course, like I would much rather my kids touch the hot frying pan in my house than go and touch the burning building, right? I'm hoping they're making lots of mistakes in my house so that prepares them for the bigger mistakes that come when they leave my house.
Wow, I didn't expect you to say that, but I like that. Well, if you'd like Larry to dip your hand in boiling hot water, please reach out. You can find us at Reposted Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. I'm Andrew Keller for The Masochist saying thanks for stopping by.